All right, what's going on? Welcome in. Full house to start the show.
What up?
If you're not here, too freaking bad. Right now, it looks like not. There you are. Come on in. Come on
People
in.
are
Come
coming
on
in.
in.
People are coming
Okay.
in.
Playoff preview style. Game 1 Saturday, 3:30. Josue and Bobby and Jimmy were out in the town today, kind of soaking in the sights.
Oh yeah.
Weather, nice
Oh, are you
weather.
kidding me? This is one of the best days of the year in Boston.
Day one.
Everyone comes out of
Playoff
comes
vibes.
out of hiding.
It's like
It's summer.
Oh.
It's summer today.
day one of the rest of your lives.
Shut
It
up
was
Pier
today.
6. Shut up Pier 6 in Charlestown. Actually, erase that. I don't want people to know about that place because it's not too busy.
Wait,
I don't want to blow up the spot, especially because it's
Yeah,
all
well
dudes who watch
done,
the
Jimmy.
show
Great-
anyway. Well, not all, but
Great
mostly.
plug. Great, AKA wink wink. That's where I'll be pretty much regularly.
Yeah.
I got you, Jimmy. There you go.
Yep. So we are good, and we are heading into game one, and we're just doing a little Celtics Hawks playoff preview. It's a hard series to preview because, I mean, honestly, what's going to happen? I mean,
Gentlemen
They're
sweep.
they're going to win. They're going to win. We'll see how it goes, but we're going to break it up. We're going to have some fun. We're going to talk about different things with the group here. But I'll start with Bobby because Bobby was covering. Sherrod, were you at practice today too?
no.
I'll start with Bobby. He was there. Bobby, give us your. The last time I asked you, by the way, to set the mood and the vibe for me, you started talking about lemon squares. I just want to be.
Let's be very
That was
clear
it.
on
That
what
was
we
the
mean by
last
So
this.
when I ask you, give me the vibe. I don't want to know about snacks or baked goods unless that was the most noteworthy thing. But here they are, kind of saying the right things about readiness, locked in, and blah blah blah. And it's one of the questions we'll kind of ask later on in the show, like what do we think these guys have learned along the way? Whatever lumps they've taken, either from the finals and then throughout periods of this year. How much of that are they going to be able to apply and put some of the crap that's plagued them at
Easy.
times behind them? What was the kind of general mood here?
Yeah, they seem focused. Tatum pretty sullen in his interview. Not excited or anything like that, amped up. It just sort of seemed like business as usual for him. And he was hitting everything out there. We had to wait for his host shooting session, and he looked great out there. Jalen Brown back today with the tape on his, I guess, right index finger is the one he cut. I didn't see him shooting or passing or anything like that. Mostly defense for him, off to the side with some guys. So,
But nothing to see here.
yeah, Joe said no restrictions today, so we'll see where that goes over the next.
At least we saw he does have 4 fingers and a
Yes.
thumb.
Exactly.
We
That's all
can
we care
confirm
about
that.
at this point.
I wasn't sure until I saw that.
You guys
I was
terrible.
not sure. I'm still not sure.
Yeah, but that was a big topic, John.
Deep
being
fake.
locked in, paying attention to the little details. I think that's going to be key in this series is managing all the things Joe talks about in the 4 factors, attention to detail and transition, running their offense, finding Young, hitting those guys, the mismatches that they need. This will only be a super easy series if they take it seriously. I don't think this is when you sleepwalk to a sweep in, and we'll get to those predictions. But I thought John's was pretty good. That you're not going to see a tough series here, one you could potentially lose. But what you will see is how strong their habits are,
Yeah.
how focused and attentive they are to a relatively mediocre opponent, and if there's another level they can reach. And I actually loved hearing Joe say today that there's some progress they can make defensively after Al said it the other day.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, we've watched this team play all damn season, and there have been peaks and valleys defensively all year. So of course there are levels that they can get to. But the thing that I worry about,
Jelly
and I think
fingers.
most people are they going to play with a consistent edge? Because if they do that, this thing is over in 4 or 5 most. I worry about that because we've seen it so many damn times where all indications are that they're going to play a certain way, and then they go out there and they crap the bed for no reason.
Yeah. That's my
you worry
thing.
about it, Sherrod. I mean, look, it's legitimate because at the end of the day, we've seen what this team looks like against mediocre teams, 500 teams, and this is pretty much this is the epitome of that, right? Let's face it. This team finished 500 since their new coach came in, 11-11, 500. They've never won or lost any more than 2 games in a row. They're 500. Like, they're the epitome of that. So you're wondering how a championship-built team will look against a team like that in the first round. And if the Celtics are about that life, if they're a champion, then this should be a quick series. I agree.
Jimmy? No, you're very silent.
Sorry, I put myself on mute. Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Jimmy likes to mute. Who knows what he's doing over there?
Well, I don't want to say or do the wrong thing when you guys are going off. So, I got Celtics in 5, gentlemen sweep. I don't even know. I was just trying to be nice to the Hawks. I just hope that they can show up and win a game like in Atlanta. I do think the Hawks have talent. They just haven't been able to string any of it together. I mean, when they traded for Murray, I was like, wow, that might be one of the best backcourts in the NBA. And it just hasn't happened this year. Capella, who am I missing? Our guy,
John Collins.
Collins, thank you.
Future Celtic John Collins.
Who's always in trade talks to the Celtics.
Hunter.
Those guys can make it difficult. Sherrod just said that.
him.
Sherrod just gave me the X factor right there. Tatum versus Hunter, right? I mean, that's kind of like matchup wise, positional wise, anyways.
Hunter's good too.
He is good, but he is good. But I mean, I think Tatum should be able to do his thing. I just think the Celtics' talent is going to outweigh the Hawks' talent, and it shouldn't be an issue in this series.
Yep.
So I have them in 5. If it's 4, I wouldn't be surprised. If it's anything more than 5, then we have problems.
We have problems. We're going to sneak in some questions talking about some of our thoughts and concerns about the postseason, both this series and kind of throughout. We'll revisit some of our old takes. We might even turn our aim at one another later on in the show and discuss some things that we're going to do a little airing of grievances on the show as well. We'll get to that in a little bit. Real quick, just let you know. Yeah, good a time as any if you're interested in this sort of thing to get in on the action here while this bonus is still hot. FanDuel.com/Boston. Again, the playoffs are starting. So you've got basketball, you got hockey, you got games every day and night that matter. A lot of action, a lot of interest, and I know a lot of you out there who like to partake in this sort of thing. If you do, sports betting, of course, legal in Massachusetts. Go to FanDuel.com/Boston. Check it out, our exclusive wagering partner here. All right, so let's start with some general questions surrounding the team. And, we talked about it, and we're not going to know some of it until we really get going. But let's just kind of start with how we feel about the Celtics in general. What's the biggest concern now each of you have entering the playoffs? If you have one, what is it? Jimmy, we'll start with you.
Well, to sum it up, I think soft is the word that comes to mind, and I don't want to be too harsh on these guys, but I feel like sometimes they come out like entitled and then they get punched in the mouth, and that's kind of it. So I need to see a little bit more toughness out of them. I want them to be the people to punch first. I don't want them to go into that mode where they go down and then they just try to shoot 3-pointers to get themselves back in the game. And that becomes like unwatchable basketball. So to sum it up, I think these guys, like the mentality needs to be more killer instinct. And that's been my issue with them for a few years now. And I know that guys have gone in and out, but generally speaking, I just don't think they've been tough enough in enough situations, especially in the playoffs. So that's my big concern, is that when the going gets tough, they need to get tougher.
Yeah, Sherrod.
Yeah, apathy. I mean, that's to me, that's the number one concern I have with this team. Talent is overwhelmingly in their favor in terms of overall depth. That is also in their favor. They've got basically, 3 of the top 5 players in this series, and there's I think a really big chasm that exists when you start looking at just the intangibles like home court advantage and things like that. The only thing that can hurt them is themselves. And again, it's very different than last year, where you saw there were some teams that under the right circumstances, even if they played their best, you could see them losing a series. I don't see that this year. I just don't. Milwaukee is the only team that has any, in my opinion, legitimate threat to them. And if you're really watching Milwaukee closely, some of the guys that we really have liked in the past, like Chris Middleton, he ain't the same dude anymore. I see a lot of Rob Williams III vibes when I watch Chris Middleton. When he's on, he's really good. But that really good version, we don't see nearly as much as we used to. And, I look at guys like Wesley Matthews, and I look at Goran Dragic, and I look at some of the Jay Crowder. Great team 5 years ago. Great team 5 years ago with those guys on the bench. Now, not so much. The bench is old. They've got a couple of nice players, but overall, they're just not. I think if Milwaukee played their best and Boston played their best, I think Boston would win that in 6 or 7. And that's the only team I think is a threat to them.
Fair enough.
Don't jump ahead.
We'll get there, Bobby.
I'm going Grant.
Bobby's.
We're jumping to Grant already.
I think they need Grant, and I worry, as we talked about.
All right, let's do this.
I thought we'd get at least 15 minutes in before we went at Grant.
Let's do this.
Damn,
I
man.
mean,
You already got John giggling.
What's the biggest legitimate concern going in the playoffs? I stack up a bunch of things.
That's what
here.
we're asking you.
I thought it.
You said Grant. That's the question. It's on the screen.
Well, I'm
Grant,
just defending. I'm defending saying it.
All right, yeah.
Listen,
Raptors are a close second.
We can nitpick
Grant, Raptors, Cornet. Yeah.
nitpick the defense. It was number 2.
Hand size.
We can nitpick Joe. Joe was great.
Yeah.
We can nitpick the guard rotation. All 3 of them are pretty good. And we can nitpick Tatum, but he just averaged 30. Grant had a legitimately mediocre to bad year. And he was a key guy for them last year. He ended the year playing poorly. And you don't even know if he's going to be part of this rotation, given the matchups in this series. So that worries me. I still think they need him. I still think to win a championship, he needs to do what he did last year, which, again, is narrow and focused, but he wasn't doing it to end the year. And I don't think there are other guys on this roster that can replicate his impact on both ends of the floor. So does he have to be Game 7, Grant? No, but he does need to be consistent and capable out there. And he struggled with that to end the year. They played him consistently, so I can't knock Joe or the coaching staff for that. They tried to get him back out there. They gave him opportunities. It's going to be a tough decision for them because they know he's their best option.
I don't think he's a key, though, Bobby. I think he's like a luxury.
He's not a
item.
key
puzzle.
I think he's a luxury item. He's a piece of the puzzle. But if you're getting, does Grant matter as much if you're getting really good contributions from Hauser and Blake, and then a little from Grant?
How do you feel about that though?
What I'm saying is like there's a reason he's not playing, and that's because other people are doing more for the team than he is.
They did it in the regular season.
I know.
If anything, I feel more confident in the Celtics, pulling this off. If he's not a big
Grant there,
he's already proven that they can win without him.
Yeah. Being able to not rely on Grant is a positive. I think they were over-reliant on Grant last year. I think we saw that depth killed them last year in the finals because those guys just could not – they weren't at the level of the guys they were playing. So if Grant kind of falls by the wayside, plays slightly fewer minutes, I think that's more a positive than a negative. That's just me.
But if anything –
I don't think it's bad. I mean, if you get the best version of Grant,
I think this is an opportunity for him to be productive, to get in rhythm for the rest of the way. If it doesn't happen, I mean, I don't think the Celtics would be in trouble.
I think Grant's going to be a situational impact player. Like every playoff series, and we've seen this before, teams that go from one round to the next, there's usually a guy that does really well and maybe disappears in the next round or vice versa. I don't think Grant's going to be much of a factor in the Atlanta series, but I do believe if they get to the point where Milwaukee's on the other end of the floor, Grant is going to be a factor. They're going to need him in that. And again, that's not a knock against Blake or anyone else. It's recognizing the fact that when you have a deep roster, sometimes your role means more in certain matchups than others. And I think Grant is an example of that. I don't expect him to be much of a factor against Atlanta. I do expect him to have opportunities to be a factor against Milwaukee.
Yeah. Let me ask you guys a quick question. We'll get to Josue's concern. Over under DNP CDs, and let's call it a 5-game series for Grant. 1.5. Who's taking the over? Who's taking the under?
For the Hawk series?
Yeah.
I'm taking the under.
I think he's playing in every game.
I think
he's 1.5. You said 1.5, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he'll miss one game.
Okay.
I think he plays every game.
Okay.
He's not that far
I think
out.
the under.
Under?
I just don't know how much he plays.
I thought you meant the entire playoffs for a second. I was like, oh man, take the over.
Yeah, he doesn't get the full DNP very often.
Okay, fair enough. Let's move on, Josue. Your concern?
It's if anything for this series, and I really
just
don't.
General all playoffs. Nothing is concerning about this series. Yeah.
Okay, I got you. All playoffs, yeah. Well, all playoffs is if sort of what Sherrod was saying. If the offense gets stale and all of a sudden they just turn into the Jays and it's a two-man show, that's a recipe for disaster. Can they win like that? Maybe, if they both get hot or one of them goes off for 50-plus points, but it's not the recipe for success, and it's not what the Celtics is about. It's just not their identity. They're at their best when the ball is swinging, open flow offense, seeking the best opportunity to score, and everyone's involved. And obviously, they get the ball back. I think that's one thing that, if anything, Tatum has learned already at this point in this stage of his career. So hopefully that doesn't change. I mean, I don't see that happening unless it's something that happens in the later rounds, and maybe he gets fed into the narrative about his greatness. I don't know, but that's the only concern for me. It's the offense getting stale overall, and then turning to Tatum and Brown just to save them in late game execution. Like that's the fourth quarter game plan that they turn into.
I'm doubling down on all of that. That's it for me. It's Tatum. I'm going even more narrow. It's not just the complacency.
They follow his lead.
I'm looking at Tatum.
That's on my list.
Tatum's your biggest concern?
The biggest concern meaning, can Tatum be the best version of Tatum all the time? Is he going to maintain his attacking style? Is he going to be able to battle through when things get hard? Is he going to let bad offense affect his defense? That stuff, the trickle-down effect off of bad Tatum, is the worst thing that happens to this team. So again, it's part of what all of you guys are saying, but I'm looking squarely at Tatum. Everyone loves Tatum. We buy his jerseys and we name our kids and we name our kids after him. Fine, great.
He's the city's favorite right now.
I mean, it's fine. It's not a knock on Tatum, but
right. No, but I hear what you're saying though. Like, yeah, that's the picture, right?
Go back a zillion years and look at every NBA title team. Everyone's got the guy on it. There is the guy. You got to go to the 2004 Pistons to find a team that doesn't have the guy on it. Okay, right. And Tatum has yet to show he's the guy until he does that and wins it and gets that stuff past him and leads by force of sheer will and just determination. I'm better than you. We've seen people will it. You saw what Giannis did a couple years ago. I'm not letting you.
A couple weeks ago.
Me. Right. So I'm putting it on Tatum is not the concern as much as it is
bad starts too.
The thing, can he get past bad starts? That's a huge key for me. Tatum not Tatuming in a bad way, just Tatuming in a good way.
And you can't get locked into the numbers that he puts up because bad Tatum can still get you 25.
Yes.
Easily.
Right.
And that to me is the scary part. If you're playing the Celtics, that they got a guy who on a bad day, can get you 25 and 6 and 7. And Tatum, for him, I think to John's point, he needs to not only be efficient, but he needs to be effective and consistently effective. Be the guy that at the end of the day, when you're looking at the 3 or 4 factors that determine this outcome, he's either 1, 3, and 4, 1, 2, and 3. He has to be the guy that when you look at all the factors that come into play, his name has to come up multiple times as being a difference maker. He can't just be a guy that gets buckets. He has to do more than that.
Yep.
Facts, my dog.
Facts, dog.
Yeah. So that's a part of his game that's evolved. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. We know we are not worried about the Hawks. We'll get into our predictions right near the end of the show.
We already did.
What?
We already did.
Well, I mean, we'll
do them again.
Those are concerns.
But we're going to jump to another question. Which possible playoff opponent scares you the most throughout the entire playoffs here? Which one are you like, okay, that freaks me out a little. Start with Josue.
The Bucks. The Bucks, man. Giannis being Giannis, the best version of Giannis, and his team rallying around him. I mean,
who else is on Bucks?
That's the biggest threat, and it's been like that the whole. I mean, Chris Middleton. Sherrod, you bring up a good point. He's shown that he's not quite the same guy.
Sherrod, you were Bucks on this. Yep. Go ahead. Josue, sorry.
Right, and for a best of 7 series though, that's a guy that can kill you. I mean, the Celtics know better than anyone. He has a good track record against the Celtics, and obviously he wasn't in the picture last year, so that's significant. Brook Lopez, what he does on both ends of the floor, but for that team, it's more about the other guys though, right? Their depth. I mean, that's the only thing. I mean, that's the part of their team that they're really going to need in that series, right? If the Celtics are obviously at their best and the momentum is in their favor, which I think it will be or should be, right? Depending on how things go the rest of the way. But I mean, just looking ahead, that's the only team that really scares me. I mean, NBA Finals teams like the Suns,
And you only get one
or
answer.
even I know, but I mean, I'm just saying, like those guys, yeah, they strike. I mean, the Suns specifically, they strike a bit of fear, but not like the Bucks. I mean, for me, because I just think it's personal for those guys. They're still salty, right? I mean, they're like, man, that should have been us last year. And if we had Chris Middleton, things would have been different. They truly believe that. But that last matchup, man, the way they defended Giannis, it really makes me more confident. But if I had to pick any team that scares me for the Celtics, it's still them. It's still the Bucks.
Well, the thing about the Bucks is this: they're the only team in the Eastern Conference that has been where you want to go to. Their core group has been to the mountaintop. They know what it's like to be the last team standing. And I'm telling you that muscle memory, you just don't know how impactful that's going to be in a playoff series. And it's that unpredictability of what type of Bucks team you're going to get is what scares me. If you're getting the Milwaukee Bucks that we saw in the regular season, I think the Celtics, it'll be a rough series, but I think they should prevail. If you get the Bucks team that is thinking we have to play with the sense of urgency we had a couple years ago when we won a chip, and they're playing with that type of just desperation, they could be a problem. And the fact that they got home court advantage. So Game 7 is going to be in their building. So to me, that's why they make me nervous, because they have some things going on both on the court and I think from a above the neck standpoint that could be problematic for the Celtics.
I'm not buying on the Bucks. That's just me. Bobby, you? What was your team?
I'm going Cleveland here. I said this at the beginning of the year.
You trashed Cleveland.
I'm amazed you didn't go Toronto. That's so we at least got that. Legit amazed.
No, that would have been
Go
wild.
ahead, Bobby. Let him know.
If you had guts, you would have gone Toronto with a straight face.
Go, Bobby. Go, Bobby.
So the loss they had in Boston,
I like this answer, by the way.
The loss they had in Boston, the third game they played, concerned me because I saw how little they have at the forward position. But they're loaded inside. They have that rim protection dynamic that I think bothers the Celtics. The Bucks have it too, of course, but the Cavs I thought executed better during the year when they played each other. And of course, they had those dominant 2 wins against the Celtics while they were rolling at their best this season. So this is a team that I think can compete with Boston game in and game out. I said coming into this year, when I had Justin Rowan on, who I often have on our shows here, I could see the Cavs in the finals. I could. Their path's tough. And I think the Celtics got fortunate here. I actually got very worried about the Celtics' path, and now it actually looks much easier that all the seeding's been figured out. Cavs have to go through the Knicks, Bucks, and then if the Celtics or whoever comes out of that Philly. That's tough. And I think the Celtics are very fortunate that maybe the 2 toughest teams matchup-wise against them in the Cavs and Warriors have the hardest time actually seeing them in this postseason. The Warriors' road is insane. The Cavs' path is tough from round 1. I think they lost 3 out of 4 to the Knicks during the season. But if they sneak through the East Finals, I don't think you're breathing a sigh of relief. I think it's comparable, if not tougher than the Bucks. Something's up with that Bucks team. I wrote about it in Christmas, and I know they had that great win streak to end the year. Middleton's injury, the wing depth that hurt them last year against Boston, even the amount of weight that Giannis has to carry there. Everyone's picking them, I feel like,
it
right now.
It feels like a house of cards. I don't know what it is with the Bucks. I'm not buying
and
it.
even Budenholzer. I mean, he just keeps dropping.
Yeah, it's worth mentioning too. He's the 3 now, right? He's the 3 on that team. Drew Holiday is the 2, and he's still someone. I mean, granted, he didn't have the greatest season, but he has a little bit of momentum going into the postseason, and he's just one of those guys that just loves to play against the Celtics. I feel like he hates Marcus Smart or something. You know what I mean? Like he really enjoys playing against the Celtics, and he's a problem, man. When he gets going, he can. Yeah. I mean, of course, he can be streaky. There's a bad side to him, but when he gets going and everyone's clicking on that team, they're. And really
I love the Bucks, but what is up with them playing awful against the Celtics? 3 straight games.
The Celtics are better than them.
Well, I think the Celtics are from top to bottom. I think they are better than. But 2, the Celtics it's funny. The Celtics wind up getting certain matchups without hunting for matchups, and that's a problem when a team is basically getting.
It's like, can we put Wes Matthews on Tatum? That's what they were doing last year.
Or let's put Jay Crowder. Let's get Jay Crowder on somebody too.
Oh, geez, Jay Crowder. I was
I love
Jay
Jay
was
Crowder.
salivating when he was
Listen.
on the court.
Father Time is undefeated, and all his sons seem to be playing for the Bucks these days.
Yeah,
It's like Father Time's like, son, go play with Giannis. I'll get you. I'll come back and pick you up in a couple weeks.
Everyone's picking them too. All the national people I hear have them going to the finals.
whatever.
But the national people don't watch this team day in day out. They see box scores, and they see Giannis drops 35, 7, and 9, and Chris.
And nobody respects the Bucks more than me. You guys know that.
Well,
Something's off with them this year, though.
I like their team, but to me, the thing that's off is Middleton. It's one thing for Drew Holiday to surpass him as being the number 2, but Drew didn't really have much competition to do that. I think even if Drew Holiday played average Drew Holiday basketball, he'd still be the number 2 option ahead of Chris Middleton. And Drew's not. Drew's playing significantly better than he normally does. Chris Middleton, I can't trust him anymore. He's still a good player, but I put him in the same boat as Robert Williams III. Some nights he could be damn near the most dominant, impactful player on your team. Other nights, he's in ML card mode, waving a towel on the sideline because he's hurt.
Yeah, but Sherrod, but
something's off
if Rob Williams was the second or third best player on this team, this team would be in trouble, right? And so that's the difference. I feel like, but I get what you're saying, though. I get the comparison, but I mean, like, that's how important he is for that team, and especially in a series like this against the Celtics.
He's not as impactful, but he makes them better. So obviously they're good when they have it. Jimmy jumped out of conference for his answer.
I did. So for me,
You
the biggest fear in life is the fear of the unknown, folks.
He's gonna go philosophy now. Okay,
I feel like I know Milwaukee. I feel like I know Philly. I know Cleveland. We've seen those teams. We've seen them. The Celtics have taken care of business against them. But the one team I just don't know enough about, and I don't think any of us do, are the Phoenix Suns. And if the Celtics do meet the Phoenix Suns in the NBA Finals, that tells me 2 things. One, the Celtics are obviously playing really good basketball. But 2, the Suns are playing really good basketball, which means Kevin Durant is on his game. Devin Booker's hitting his shots. Chris Paul's getting over that career hump. And, DeAndre Ayton might be doing his thing. I don't know how you couldn't be scared of that Suns team if it's Celtics versus Suns in the NBA Finals, just because at this point, we don't really know what they're capable of, other than the fact that there's a lot of good players that have all come together late in the season.
I can't wait to watch Durant in the playoffs.
Durant's injury is kind of, everyone's kind of waiting to see. So for me, that's fear. That's a little scary. If you see the Suns, there's going to be a lot of people, whether they're right or wrong, that are going to be picking the Suns in that series. And
by the way,
if the Celtics play the Bucks real quick, I don't think that's going to change anybody's opinion on what they think of that series, because I think everyone's already assuming the Celtics are going to play the Bucks, and everyone already kind of has an idea. Okay, well, the Celtics have already beaten the Bucks 3 times this year, and blah blah blah. They play them well. Or there's people who say, no, it's Giannis. We're going to take the Bucks. But if it's Celtics Suns, that's a scenario or in a matchup that no one's really had much time to think about, and I think that's just an unknown for me.
That's a good one, Jimmy. But
Bobby, was that your?
2 things I would point out, and I'll pass it on to Josue real quick. 2 things I want to point out really quick.
Go ahead.
One, Phoenix is a good team, but it'll be a long series, and guess what? Game 7 will be in Boston. That's a big factor. 2,
that's huge.
With the trade of Kevin Durant, obviously they have more star power, but it depleted their bench. And if this series goes long, like I think it will, that's going to hurt them more than it'll hurt the Celtics. So I think you're right, Jimmy. I mean, there's a lot of unknown with Phoenix, but I'm not nearly as worried about them as I am a team like Milwaukee, which has already won a title with their core group. Whereas Phoenix, they're still trying to figure out how to play well with each other, and they're figuring out how to play with each other with a shorter field of players.
But if they get to the finals, that tells me they figured it out, which means I'm scared.
Yeah. And there's also the fact that the West is so damn wide open, too.
Right.
Yeah. It's amazing we've talked about this.
That's true.
It's amazing we've talked about this question for so long, and all of you got the answer wrong. It's the Warriors. It's like I don't know.
John, I have them losing round 1.
That's what I'm saying. They might not
Not
even get
this
out.
I'm
round,
not
John.
saying the Warriors will get
not this
there.
year.
I'm
Yes, you
saying
are.
that's the one.
Yes, you are. Get out of here, John.
One, I am saying it, but 2, this question is not about who's going to get there. It's
they have a good path, by the way.
Who do you fear? I do not want to play the Warriors ever for the rest of
You
existence.
don't want to play the boogeyman.
Ever. Ever.
Come on. What? No, the Celtics should be ecstatic for that to happen. If there was a rematch.
If you had a few under your belt and you wanted revenge,
you could kill the dynasty.
Patriots want another crack at the Giants, but you got a few already in tow. You're trying to sneak out that win. You want an easy. I don't want the Warriors will absolutely break their brains, destroy our offseason, send us back into you got to split up the Jays mode. It'll be ruinous. We do not want to face the Warriors.
They would that would be the end of the Jays.
If the Warriors beat the Celtics,
if they were to do it again,
not only do you trade the Jays, but the Jays actually have to retire.
Yeah,
they have to quit basketball.
Yeah. So. And if someone gets married during the summer and Draymond's there, oh man, can you imagine? Anyways, no, I was gonna ask Bobby though. Bobby, is that your bold prediction? Because I like that. I mean, for a bold prediction, the Cavs beating, going back to what we were talking about earlier, the Cavs beating.
Don't jump the gun.
The Cavs beating the. Oh, sorry.
Beating the Bucks.
Did I go ahead?
Well, look at the Bucks' path now. It's Heat round 1 maybe if they figure it out. Cavs round 2, or the Knicks are pretty tough too, and then you're talking Boston round 3.
You trashed the Cavs most of this year and said that the Cavs weren't good enough. The Celtics should, that's an easier matchup for Philly. So now I'm confused. You're kind of flip-flopping, which is.
I'm worried about their wing depth, and if they had a wing,
Bobby does that though.
If they had a wing, they'd be very enticing. But they just don't have enough at that position.
Yeah. Anyway,
I think there's a world where they break through.
Yeah,
we'll see what happens.
Do you want to?
Cedric Maxwell would love that take. You should tell him that.
Since you've already jumped in there.
He's been big on Cleveland.
What do you got, John? You're a guy.
Are you guys jumping to bold predictions? Is that where you want to go next?
No, that's last.
That's last. Okay.
Well, the way Bobby said it, I thought that. Yeah.
Okay, ready? That's fine.
My bold prediction is
no. We're not doing white bold. We are going to talk. We're gonna look inward a little bit first. Okay. One of the things we're going to do is we're going to talk about what were we most wrong about. Okay.
Oh, this is good. All right, you start, John.
Huh?
You start.
Do I have to?
Yes.
Bobby loves to hear John say he's wrong about something.
I mean, it's not. I wasn't wrong about a lot.
He put his glasses on. He's like, I gotta watch this shit.
I wasn't really wrong about much.
No, you have to admit that you were wrong.
Right.
So, I would say of all the things, Hauser, I thought Hauser was a joke in the offseason.
Oh,
yeah, you did. Yeah, you fucking did. I knew it. I knew it. You give me the side eye, dude. Hauser's not going to be on this team. What are you talking about?
Idiot.
I love
How did they let Matt Strus go for this Sam?
No, meaning
right.
My take.
How many times, real quick, how many times, John, would you have brought up Max Strus if he was a bust? You would have been mentioning him every other week. That's a good point.
Here's the thing, though. I do believe that some people thought the take was not far off, meaning how in the world did this guy, because again, he comes out, he starts shooting. They tell us before the year, get that out of here. This whole thing has
this whole thing is apology.
That was you.
This is a group apology camp.
This guy.
That was Jimmy.
This guy, out of nowhere, this guy
save that screenshot.
This guy who was unplayable at the beginning of the year, last year. Oh my God, if you put Sam Hauser in, you'll literally die.
Wait, you talking about Sam or Luke?
Huh?
You talking about
Hauser.
Sam or Luke?
Hauser. Okay.
We're not talking about Luke, Bobby.
Last year, there was if you played Hauser,
settle down.
Hauser's sitting there hitting 12 threes a game in Maine, and they were everyone covering the Celtics was yeah, you can't play him here. And then everyone who said that last year was Hauser's going to be good this year. And I wasn't buying it because that felt like what we were supposed to say.
Either.
We were fed this. We were fed this narrative.
And also,
Hauser was going to step in.
Yeah. In the middle of that, John, between what he did in Maine and all the talk, 2 words for you: Matt Ryan. When he was in summer, listen, John. When he was in summer league, he made you question why the hell are you going to go with Sam Hauser when you got Matt Ryan who's winning games for you? Yeah. He's hitting game-winning 3-pointers on a damn near broke ankle, and then he's getting misty when he's talking about
Fair
DoorDash.
enough.
Yeah, but if it wasn't him, it gets misty.
I'm just saying.
And also,
that's
shame
dope,
on the
though.
Celtics
Yeah, that's
for
funny the way
not
you said it, though.
realizing it
That's a
sooner
good
too
point.
on Hauser.
So that's why I didn't buy it. I was like, they had this guy under their control.
Sherrod
Everyone's
triggered
telling
that.
us he
I
can't
forgot about
play, and then all of a sudden, the same exact people are like, "Yeah, he's going to be good. Yeah, Hauser's going to be good this year." I was like, not buying it. You were afraid to play him last year. There's no way you're giving real minutes to this guy. I want to give real minutes to this guy. I do. You accept the flaws. Look, it goes against like mine and Jimmy's philosophy, which is like kind of we argue with Bobby about this all the time. Like, not everybody has to be an amazing two-way player to see the court. Right. Being a specialist or being really good at offense is good. When we were debating guys to get, we were like, get shooters, because we believed Hauser was unplayable because he was so bad defensively, you couldn't play him. But that's not the case. He holds his own. Forget the defensive rating number, which again was not totally believable. He holds his own, and it's worth it for what you get out of his offense. So I would say I didn't buy the Hauser hype. I'm in now. I hope they give him a shot in the playoffs. Who wants to go next? Sherrod.
Get this guy a Hauser jersey.
Right.
Let's buy him a Hauser
jersey. Give me a Hauser jersey. I'll take it.
I gotta go with Grant. I thought Grant was going to be more consistent, more effective, especially when Gallinari went down, and I'm thinking like this is perfect. He's in a contract year. The guy that was going to eat up most of his minutes is done for the year. Grant is about to, and Grant was coming, off that 40, 50. I mean, Grant was showing the ability to be someone who could actually impact the game as a sort of kind of stretch big, and then shit happened. He wasn't a guy.
A lot of shit.
And I'm still holding on to my Grant stock because I'm telling you, there's going to be one game in the postseason where we're going to look like freaking geniuses for being behind Grant. But there's going to be a lot of games not so much. So I was wrong about Grant. I thought he was going to be more consistent than he's been.
We're sorry. We're sorry about Hauser. We're sorry about Grant.
I'm sorry.
You let us on about Grant, you jerk.
I feel like I bamboozled and led people astray on Grant. I feel like I bamboozled.
I lost my house betting Grant overs this year.
Jimmy, who you got? What was your bad take?
Oh man, I think my bad take might take the cake. I had a bold prediction at the beginning of the year, and it weirdly did kind of come true, but it was extremely wrong. I thought that the Celtics were just going to forget about Derek White on a road trip because I thought he was going to be so forgetful and unimportant to this team that they would all just board the flight one night after a game and just take off and not even realize it until halfway through the next game. Derek, go in, and then he wouldn't be on the bench. I was very wrong about that. Derek White, in my opinion, we did a grading on another podcast. I'll shout it out, Celtics Lab. I am a traitor for going on that during your guys' show.
We established that already,
a couple days ago, but check it out, Celtics Lab podcast. It's a CLNS network podcast, so it's all family. But I gave Derek White, I think we all collectively gave Derek White the highest grade of everybody on the team. It's relative, right? So I'm not saying Derek White is better than Jason Tatum, but I think, relatively speaking, he had the best year on this Celtics team. I thought he was their best player at points, and he was an unbelievable two-way player for them. So I was extremely wrong going all the way back. I was wrong about what I thought about him this year, projecting. I was very right about what I thought about him last year. He stunk last year. And
which is why Jimmy and I will not do Derek White apology cams until
so
all of you apologize for lying to us about him playing well last year.
This is an apology cam for what I thought we were in store for, not for what I said last year. So
that's why you're not getting one.
That's my apology right there.
If you can say someone did something good, which Derek White is doing this year, then the other side, what's the opposite of good? Not good. That's what Derek White was.
Yeah, not good.
Last year.
And not only that, he played every single damn game this year, including the one where they did leave him behind on the plane. So I got to give him credit for that too. He got lost in ear, and he still suited
Someone
up.
apologized for it. Thank you, guys. When you admit you homered out last year, to excuse it.
You don't know basketball, crowd.
You don't know ball if you don't think Derek White's awesome.
Yeah. So it just doesn't make the box score. You guys don't see it. That's what it is.
You guys are so simple. All right, so that's that top row. Josue, what do you got? Your bad take.
I got Grant, man.
We're leaving
Grant
Bobby
Williams,
for last because Bobby's got 100 of them. But
I thought I thought Grant was going to take that next step. I mean, he was on pace to do that, and I thought the fact that Al Horford was going to play the second night of back-to-backs, that was the perfect opportunity for him to show that he's going to be a future starter for this team. And if you want to talk about contract extensions, well, this was the year to show that you were worth that, and he just didn't do that. I mean, he's still trying to find his way. He still tries to be productive out there, but sometimes his attitude gets in the way. Look, we talked about this a couple of times, but I'll bring it up again. I mean, just the way the regular season ended, and just his overall body language was just not in tune with the rest of his teammates. Even guys who were in street clothes, and he's got to still cheer for his guys. Not like to the point where he's toxic. He's not gonna like spoil a locker room, but I just expected a lot more. I thought he was on pace to improve his numbers across the board this year, and that just hasn't been the case.
Yeah.
Apology accepted. Josue.
I urge you guys in the chat, give us your bad takes too. We'll put them up there. Whatever you were dead wrong about, Bobby.
Yeah, I like that. That's a good idea.
Admit it,
you
cowards.
Bobby.
Yeah, admit it.
Admit it, cowards. Bobby, go.
Ooh, this should be.
I mean, the Raptors one's a big one.
At least he said it.
Yeah.
Wait.
And everyone.
You did have a list, didn't you?
Raptors talk.
That's that's leaving the milk out in 80-degree weather. That's going to spoil rather quickly, Bobby.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you owned it.
I still don't know what happened there. That was a great team last year, competitive and disruptive for years, and then everything went wrong this year. And they had everybody. It's not like they were injured. They got Jakob Poeltl, who I really liked. That might have actually been something I was wrong about too, because I don't know if the Celtics actually should have made that move the way it went. But we'll see. I'm not giving up on that one yet. Raptors, though, you got to give up. I mean, they were terrible last night. They're disgraceful in that Celtics mini-series a week or two ago. They fall down to the 9 seed, and just bow right out of the playoffs while not selling a single piece. They're going to lose Van Fleet for nothing. Probably OG Anunoby. I don't know if you made a bad move holding on there, whatever. But either way, they weren't going to compete with anybody, it looks like, much less the Celtics. But my big one's Joe. I loved Ime. Huge fan of Ime. I thought they'd really feel his loss this year. In some ways, they probably did. But Joe brought a new perspective, a new offense, which I don't think we knew how much he would change coming this year, but he changed quite a bit offensively. And it opened up Tatum and Brown's games completely. Brown, who just had a ginormous season, but Tatum, 30 points a game. The three-point shooting, as much as we bemoan it at times, really helped them. Horford had a historic year in this offense. White, as we mentioned, Brogdon, everybody benefited from playing under Joe. Frustrating at times to cover, certainly. I think there were tendencies that we picked on along the way. And as Brad Stevens said last Sunday, it's just easy to pick on the first-year head coach who didn't have a ton of experience coming in. But he did a phenomenal job. He should probably come third in Coach of the Year voting or second behind Mike Brown. The guy was tremendous. I think he's very smart. I think he's very insightful. I think he's very cutting edge in the way he does a lot of things for this team. The real test is ahead, but I think at this point we can all say to some degree that we were wrong for doubting him.
I'll give you.
One of your bold takes, wasn't it? He might win Coach of the Year.
But that was just because of the situation.
Gotcha.
Okay, I'll give everyone a pass on being skeptical for Joe, because if you weren't skeptical of the Joe Mazzulla hire, then you're an idiot. Like, you're not like. No, meaning like, guy, he was thrust into this. This was not supposed to happen. This guy was probably years away from really knocking at the door.
But you know what the word was,
for
Joe?
a coaching opportunity.
I mean, John. The
Yeah,
word was that they loved him. They stopped him from going to Utah.
They say that
really
about everything. Okay, I love this guy. I love this coordinator. I love this thing. Like, that's just what.
But then you find out the truth at the end of the season, and it was true. It was true. They did love him.
But whatever. It's still to not believe that this guy kind of jumping out of nowhere.
Yeah, you had to be skeptical.
It would have been insane to not be skeptical. It's like, so I don't think that that's fair.
But you can be wrong about it, I guess.
But we criticized them all year.
Yeah, which was, Bobby, at the time.
You're allowed to do that.
It was valid.
All right,
it wasn't like we weren't criticizing him about things that didn't happen.
All right, we're going to turn on each other in a minute. So before we do that, I'll tell you briefly about another one of our sponsors, Athletic Greens. If you haven't gotten in on this by now, you should have. It's summer weather. You got to look good, kid. You got to get out there. You
Yeah.
got to get
Get
healthy.
your leafy greens.
Get your leafy greens. Get your probiotics.
Prebiotics too.
Get them. Adaptogens, kid.
Yeah, dude.
Go get yourself some Athletic Greens. Go to athleticgreens.com/garden. You take advantage of that free gift right there on the screen. Good for everything, honestly. Gut health, recovery, focus, mental clarity, your immune system. One scoop, cup of water, boom, you're done.
Done.
If you go here,
Off
and
to
you do
the
this,
bars.
off to the bars, kid. Just go walking around tomorrow. It's gonna be nice. athleticgreens.com/garden. Check that out. We will also send you one of these things.
By the way, t-shirts have
No,
been
send me one.
delivered to a lot of people. I've been seeing some screenshots and I've gotten some texts. T-shirts are being delivered.
Yep.
And they look good.
Yes, they
I
do.
might be a little biased, but I think they look good.
You are.
Hold on.
Someone tagged us for the
Okay, ready?
phenomenal
Here it
t-shirt.
is. We're getting into it. Which take? We're going to ask this now. Which takes that we have given on this show, and sure, yes, viewers, you absolutely can get in on this action. Which of our takes, which of our stances, which of the things that we do have driven you most nuts? Okay, so we are going to turn on each other. We're going to do it a little bit gently. We're going to start with you, Jimmy.
Yeah, mine's gentle because mine's an attack on everybody. I think the Blake Griffin hate this year was unwarranted, uncalled for, downright disrespectful,
Hey, that was the one guy
and
who did it.
wrong. And damn it, it was
That was a
wrong.
bad take by me too.
Guilty.
Hashtag
Guilty.
Blake hate.
You hated the signing.
I
yeah.
thought it was
Bobby
awful.
pissed.
I
Yeah.
liked it from the start, and shame on you all for your hashtag Blake hate, because
Not me.
this guy came in here with the best attitude you could have. The players loved him. His teammates loved him. And he jumped into a role that, a lot of, I think, former, multi-year All-Stars, future Hall of Famers wouldn't accept. He embraced it, and he had a winning positive effect on the team this year. So screw you guys for doubting him from the start. And I do think that he's going to have an effect on the playoffs too. So I'm on the Blake train. As you can see, I've got my Blake mustache going strong right now too. In unity, Bobby, I'm surprised you haven't started growing yours out again because you haven't
Mine's
going
back
strong for
to some
it back?
degree.
Persecution cam. I like this.
Persecution cam. Yeah, so that's my take. It's not a direct shot at anyone particular, but collectively, all you guys suck. So that's my take.
Okay, fair enough.
You're welcome.
Sherrod.
Oh, this was easy, and I think
I
I
love
got a
that.
legion of fans who are going to back me up on this one. I love you, Bobby. You know I do. We're Cuse brothers for life. We got that. But you and the damn Luke Cornett over again. I just want to reach out and touch you so nice when you're talking about Luke Cornett. and him and the damn lemon squares. I mean, it's bad enough we got Luke Cornett, but now we got like Chef Luke Cornett with the damn lemon square. So I love you, Bobby, but you drive me nuts sometimes with the Luke fandom.
Luke did have a solid
Bobby, I
year.
swear, if you didn't go to Cuse,
Joe
man,
sways in
Yeah.
on
you
that
didn't go
too.
to- yeah, if you didn't go to Syracuse, man, I swear Sherrod would be in. Yeah, man, that's the same thing for me, man. And I thought about it for a while, and I was like, nothing tops that. It's just, you know what? It was great. It was great when Cornett was relevant. You know what I mean, though? Like, I'm not to say, you know what I mean? Whatever. I could just say that.
just
Yeah, when he
said
was
it,
relevant,
yeah.
when he was getting minutes, he was being productive. He was, everyone made, a lot about the whole contest or whatever, Cornett contest, whatever the heck it was called. Like,
contest, yeah.
which is funny. Like, of all the things,
He did it to himself.
that was the one that you found a way to get a mention of Cornett every single night, especially on nights when he didn't do anything. The lemon squares
That was
thing, man, I took it over
impressive,
the top.
actually.
I was like, man, no one asked for this, So like, I mean, that's the only.
we needed
But
lemon
we
squares.
needed it that night, though. We needed
Yeah.
that night.
But
We
for
didn't-
example, last
nobody
game,
asked for it,
Bobby,
but
we're
everybody needed it.
we're in like the 120 mark, and we're like, all right, we're gonna say good night, and Bobby's like, oh crap, Cornett, and we were like, what? Like, why?
Yeah, and then you get mad if you forgot that you had to bring him. It's like, oh man, like
It's like when I forget
he's
to do
got
a
to earn it
sponsor
now.
read.
Come on, Bobby, he's got to
Yeah.
earn it, especially
Oh, man.
especially in the postseason.
I didn't get my
He's gotta
Cornett read in
earn.
today.
Hey,
Yeah.
one year ago, or a year and a half, well, I guess 2 years ago now, because it's the beginning of last year, they signed him to the G League, and I called it a steal. And 2 years later, You're getting 11, 8, 2 and 2 from him per 36 minutes. Shot 67% from the field this year. He was great for them for what they got.
Don't give me that per
how they got him.
36. Don't give me that.
Yeah,
per
but he doesn't play a
36
ton.
Yeah, don't give me that. Per 36.
You know why?
He still blocked a
There's
shot
reason
per
why he
game,
doesn't
pretty much.
play much.
Don't give me that per 36 talk.
Certain matchups, Luke really helped them this year.
All right, let's let Bobby have at it, and obviously you know who Bobby's going to come at.
Oh, it's John.
Get him, John. Get him, Bobby.
Get him.
Get him.
John, all of these years later, as if John hasn't said one thing wrong in 3-4 seasons.
Is that it? Just overall?
Oh, but I can talk my way out of all of them.
Hasn't done an apology cam. And it's incredible. You can stack up the stuff that he's been wrong about, saying you have to consider a Brown-Simmons swap.
Not what I said, but that's cool.
Oh boy.
You have to consider it. You have to think about it. You have to discuss it, however you want to describe it. But that's what you had. You and
Nope,
Jimmy.
didn't say that either, but that's
You
fine.
and Jimmy a couple years ago.
Hey, leave me out of this.
Oh, here we go. Here we go.
I'm not
The
catching
Derek White
strays.
trade, you can try explain yourself out of it, but you hated what they gave up.
Can I just say real quick? This is like a sneak peek
That's
into
true.
our group chat, guys. So
Yeah.
this is great. Keep going.
Yeah.
You did predict before the year Luke would have more DNPs than games
That was
played.
more right than wrong, by the way.
The spirit of it. All right.
The spirit of it was he was not a real part of what they were doing. He was a
The
brick
big one, and I'll
wall.
give you this. I'll give you this chance now. The big one, and I think Jimmy shared in this a little bit. You saying you would rather have Zion and Brandon Ingram than Jason Tatum and Jalen Brown.
So to clarify, what we said was at the height of at the absolute height of Zion, before 2 years ago, before he started going out with injuries, that 10 out of 10 NBA personnel people would take Zion over Tatum. That was a fact at the time. You couldn't find a single list anywhere that had Tatum ranked higher than Zion. 2 years later, when the guy hasn't played in a year, and now you're bringing this take
Well, didn't
back
those
on
lists
me?
have Simmons over Brown
This
too?
this is not. You're taking old takes, old.
That was
takes.
before Zion discovered cheeseburgers and Mountain Dew and
Beignets,
Yeah,
baby. Don't
the
forget
Mountain
about
Dew.
New Orleans
Gumbo.
beignets.
yeah.
Well, if you apologize, it would be in the past. That's the point.
ridiculous. Back then, it wasn't even close. Zion was considered like an untouchable top 3 asset in the NBA, and then he completely cratered. So
And
2
Ingram
years
has
later,
been awesome.
yeah.
So really, like if you wanna trash anybody, Bobby, it shouldn't be John. It should be Zion himself.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Everyone thought Zion was better.
But
than
those guys,
everyone.
had never made the playoffs at that point, and they still haven't played a playoff game together.
Everyone thought Zion. That was there was more upside to Zion, and until he absolutely cratered back then. I'm not eating that one.
At that time, Brown and Tatum had still
Looking
played
back,
3.
yeah, I mean,
These
yeah,
finals
looking back,
together.
it was wrong based on everything that happened. If you think
Clearly.
it played out the same way, for sure.
So I'm not taking any shots at anybody, but that's fair, Bobby. I get it. I'll talk.
You're
my
not
way
taking shots, you
I'll
coward.
talk my way out of any. I'm not taking shots. I am gently going to place it back on the viewers and the people here on this notion of Jalen Brown slander that exists in the world.
I like this.
Okay, this notion that
I'm here for this.
saying anything about the precious Celtics is going to drive them out of town. Okay, grow up.
You guys are the reason they're leaving.
No wonder nobody likes to play here.
Grow up. Okay,
Yeah, that's the best way to put it, yo. Grow up.
that's
Seriously.
not how it works. Okay, that's
John,
not.
you hurt Jalen's feelings, John.
We're not that powerful.
not-
Although 2 years ago, Marcus Smart did tell us to shut the F up.
That's
My
fine.
man,
It
my
doesn't.
guy.
Yeah, that's
That was an
It's
exception
not-
to the rule, though.
It's
well, he wasn't like, I'm leaving town because of the effing guard
Yeah.
rule.
That's
it's
what I always
not
said.
how it works.
No
guys.
one's been more criticized than Marcus Smart, and look at him, still
love
loving
him.
being here.
Love him.
And no one has no, I should say this. Everyone here has criticized Marcus a bunch of times since, except for Sherrod.
I love Marcus. Y'all know that's my guy.
Yeah.
No, because he was your name. He was the name he mentioned. He was like
let's
guard
be
report
real.
Sherrod.
I
and all
love
those
Marcus
clowns
too,
from the
but
I'm
I'm
effing
gonna
guard
tell
tell it like
report.
it is.
stuff.
Sorry.
on the Jalen Brown stuff.
Yeah.
Even I, at the beginning of the year, and when KD came up, was like, no, thank you. Pass. Don't do it. Okay.
Yeah,
And then flipped because he started to get worried about whether or not he's coming back. But if you polled Celtics fans in either interval, during the offseason, then when KD's name came up again, it was 80-20 against. There's no such thing as Jalen Brown disrespect. In fact, it's so over the top love for Jalen Brown in terms of overall fans and media. Like, I don't know, you guys, you got to go looking for it to find the disrespect. So again, don't be so thin-skinned if somebody says something about that you don't love about your like Jalen Brown is widely respected and probably gets as much, or I'm not going to say more, credit than he deserves for what he's done here. He's probably going to make all NBA. So there's no Jalen Brown disrespect. It's not a real thing. Okay. It's this weird boogeyman that you guys have invented.
Can I take it a step further? Can I say one thing? If anything, and if you guys don't agree with me, let me know. But if anything, right, out of the two things when you compare to media and fans, wouldn't it be the fans going on Twitter and putting up these hypothetical trades with Jalen constantly, being involved in them, never mentioning Tatum, it's always Jalen this, Jalen that. Now, granted, a big chunk of the fan base loves Jalen, but whenever there's a Durant name that was mentioned, or whenever there's someone else of that magnitude, Jalen's is the name that everyone mentions. And sure, the media mentions these trades, but Twitter talk and all that, a lot of that it's the fans as well. I mean, he even said it himself. He called part of the fan base toxic. I mean, I feel like that's what he was pointing at, So it's not just the media.
I'll leave it at this.
Yeah.
I'll ether the whole argument right now for Celtics green teamers who want to cry every time Jalen Brown, says to, because he's upset with what he hears. Jalen Brown spent one day in Mac Jones's shoes when it comes to criticism and trade rumors and just the negativity surrounding a local athlete. Mac Jones has taken about 100 times as much as that, and he's still gonna step out there on the field this year, unless he gets traded, and do his thing. So honestly, that's real criticism. What Jalen Brown gets is just like rumors. But when you walk inside a TD Garden or really anywhere, it's nothing but love for that guy. So that's why I miss me with the whole disrespect stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And honestly, you guys want to respect him more, okay? Buy more of his jerseys. Why is Tatum 3 and why is he 15? Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah, good point.
Maybe you should respect him more.
Idea. And I mean, remember the All-Star voting too?
Yeah. Maybe you should respect him more. Vote.
Yeah, that's true.
Vote for him. Okay, you're giving Tatum more love. You guys are. So
Facts.
Yeah.
Just saying it.
It's shame.
Just saying it.
It's really too bad the fans don't like him.
Shameful, yeah. Jeff Goodman. Everyone brings up Goodman every time it comes down to Jalen.
Oh, that was
Still,
Bradley
I
Beal.
thought that was so last year.
Doesn't matter. He wanted to trade him for
That was
Beal.
like 2 years
I
ago,
would have traded him for Durant, and I would still trade him for Durant. It's not disrespectful to say so.
Oh no! When the sky was falling last year, he was just like, "Get Jalen out of here!" Like he was.
The Durant thing's intriguing to look back on.
We'll see if he's wrong in the end.
That one's still kind of up in the air, and that would make for an interesting finals if it does become.
It
Sun
would,
Celtics.
and it would. We're gonna move on, and we're gonna talk about, and that was fun. No one got hurt in that process. That was good.
It's therapeutic.
Bold predictions. Let's get to it. Somebody already kind of leaked there, so we'll start with Bobby's. Bobby's, you've got an upset special.
An upset special, yeah. Push comes to shove. If you're gonna ask me, do the Celtics win a championship this year, or do they not? I think they're gonna fall a little bit short.
This is your bold prediction?
Yeah, in the NBA Finals.
They're fall short?
Bold prediction is that they don't win a championship. That's really hard to do.
Yeah, I mean that's one of them, and then the other one.
Well, who are they gonna lose to? Or they're just gonna lose in general?
In the finals, yeah. So I had Phoenix, Golden State, whoever comes out of there.
Yeah.
Okay, but not Golden State because you have them losing in the first round.
Probably not. Yeah, I think I got Phoenix, but my real one is Grant comes through. Grant is going to win them a Game 7 against Philadelphia, just like he did against Milwaukee last year.
Yeah, do you know something about Grant that we don't?
3-point shooting, defense. I see him emerging from this slump shell he's been in all year and having a big postseason series against Philadelphia in round 2, who could be a little more competitive than some people think. So I'll throw that to a 7th game, have him winning Game 7 in Boston once again, and pushing the Celtics on to these finals.
All right, Josue.
My bold prediction.
It's
I'm
so bold you forgot it.
it's Italian.
I'm going back. I was going back and forth with it, but all right, I'm going with this one. Yeah, you know what? Danilo Gallinari comes back in the Eastern Conference Finals.
That's mine.
And it helps the Celtics win. Is it really?
Yeah, we have the same bold. Well, you go. You speak for me.
Yeah, I mean, look, he's between the social media activity, between the reports and guys posting videos of him shooting around. I mean, it's a goal of his, and he mentioned that a week ago, literally. And like, I feel like it's just been flying under the radar, and I think he likes that. You know, I think he likes the surprise factor to it if he's able to pull this thing off, and I think it's a goal of his. So whether it's a success, obviously, that's the bold part I'm referring to. But I just think it gets to that point where he has that one signature performance in the postseason, if you will, that helps the Celtics push them over the edge and win a game. You know, finishing double digits, 3-4 3-pointers in like 9 to 12 minutes, or maybe a little bit more than that, but something like that. That would be huge, man. Especially he comes from a family that loves the Celtics. Or at least his father grew up a huge Celtics fan, and used to make him watch Larry Bird, crying out loud. So it would be a heck of a full circle moment to see his son out there helping the Celtics win a playoff game.
Oh man, you just got me excited, Josue. I feel the same way. That was my bold prediction too. Is that Danilo Gallinari comes back in the playoffs, wins him a game.
Wins him a game.
I bet you were joking.
Wins him a game, Bobby. You just said Grant's gonna win him a game. It's not much more bold.
Grant's on 2 good knees.
Well, here's my other thing about Gallo. What's he saving it for? This is still probably gonna be his best chance. So what are you saving your knee for, buddy?
I asked him about that. He said he still sees himself playing for a long time.
Well, he might have a couple more years left in him, and I'm not saying go out there and blow your knee off, but you might take a little bit more risk if the difference is, you know, coming back a few weeks earlier than maybe you would if you were 25. You do it, right? You make yourself available. You're active. You're not Zioning it.
Just stand in the corner, right?
Yeah, exactly, and see what happens. So good bold prediction, Josue. I co-sign.
All right, Sherrod.
Appreciate it, Jimmy.
This one is a little bit out there, just because I don't think there's much hope, but I think it can happen. Tatum and Brown are going to do what they do, but the best player for at least one playoff series is going to be Derek White. Derek White is going to he's going to be bigger and more impactful than Tatum and Brown in one playoff series. And my gut tells me it's going to be Philly. Because I look, if they're being Philly, I see that as the one team that Derek White, I can absolutely see him dominating his matchup. Because I just don't think Tobias Harris is going to want that smoke. Because Tobias is going to be dealing with either Tatum or Brown.
Can't keep up.
Yeah. And so that's my bold prediction that Derek White is going to be the best player on the floor for a series in the postseason.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought you guys had already done it because I thought you'd already leaked it out, but I'm going to kind of go back to something Bobby said. Bucks don't make it to the conference finals. Celtics have home court all the way through. I think they lose in round 2.
You got Cavs, Celtics, East Side.
I believe that there's some real smoke there. I believe that Middleton.
Yeah,
I know he went down and he practiced and he banged his knee, it looked weird. It didn't look like it was a contact. I know he practiced today in full, and I know
they
he's
like
out there.
that too. The Bucks, they were very secretive.
I don't buy it. I think something's wrong. I think they're going to kind of break down again, and they don't have the depth. And when they kind of have to push people up into the starting rotation, if they get to the Celtics, I think the Celtics wipe them out because I do think they're going to be gimped out. I don't think they make it there. I think the Bucks go down. Celtics have an easy road to the finals, and fingers crossed avoid Golden State, and they take it home. I think they beat
Phoenix is a good matchup.
I think they beat any other Western Conference team. I really do. But the Warriors still scare the crap out of me, and maybe it's PTSD. I don't know. But my prediction is they don't. My prediction is Bucks don't make it, and Celtics have an actually relatively easy path to the finals. That's my bold prediction. Let's get into just this one, just series predictions here on what we have with the Hawks right now. What do you guys have it wrapping up in?
Sweet. Forget the gentleman. We're not trying to be the gentleman sweet.
Yeah, me and Jimmy are at 5.
I know.
Celtics in 4.
Yeah, I mean, I am a gentleman, so naturally I would pick them in 5. But
No.
would I be surprised if it's 4? Hell no. I mean,
Oh,
I
hell
don't.
no.
I don't really think the
Yeah.
Hawks have a whole lot
Yeah.
going for them. I
No.
think.
Stick to 5, guys. Which one is it? 4 or 5?
No, I got
Come on.
5, but I wouldn't be shocked. But
Yeah.
I am sticking with 5. I think Trae Young might have one foot out the door. I mean, it's just been one of those years for this guy. I don't know. I saw a report a couple days ago that like they're monitoring him. I don't even know what the hell that means.
That was so bizarre. We didn't get into that at all. Like, what do they think? That sounded like they think he's what, like staying out late or something?
Yeah,
like, what
I
are they
don't know. It was
doing?
so weird.
What are they
Does he
monitoring?
need to spend more time in a playbook? Is he? I mean, what? I mean,
You look at their team; they have everything they need for the most part. So you can't look anywhere but him. They've had 3 coaches. They added Murray, as Jimmy said earlier. By the way, I think it turned out that he's probably not quite as good as that Spurs version of him. I just looked; he's 23% from 3 since Snyder took over. Not great. Young, 36%.
Young had a terrible
30-10
shooting year
guy.
all year
Yeah.
long. Young had a bad year.
I always think that's kind of been who he is. He takes tough shots, so you take it with a grain of salt, the percentages, but he's just, it's a lot like Isaiah, right? Imagine if Isaiah continued to be the core guy in Boston for years beyond that 17 season. It's tough. You're always factoring
in
in
another world,
covering up for defense with him. He's so high volume in terms of his ball time, and he didn't get off the ball this year the way they wanted him to. I'm keeping an eye on that.
But
too,
Trae Young
certainly.
Trae Young gets to the line though, so that's
dangerous. And
one of the differences between him and like just a volume shooter from the outside. Like he's getting to the free throw stripe 9 times a game or something. So
and that coach is pretty good. Like he'll have them shooting the amount of threes they need to. He'll have them crashing the glass, attacking the Celtics' vulnerabilities. I think they could get a game here. That bench is something to watch too. Really good bench.
Yeah.
I think they can steal one, but they're just so overmatched if the Celtics are healthy. And if the Celtics go all out here, lock in, much like we saw the effort against Brooklyn last year, the Hawks will get blown off the court.
Yeah, that's what I said in my prediction. I said 4 also because I do think gentlemen sweeps are for cowards. You just don't have the guts to say 4, so you're always building in for one thing. However, the reason I refuse to allow room for this is the Celtics are so much better than the Hawks.
Yeah.
Losing a game here would really be one of those mail it in, lack of focus. Let's just get lazy and shoot it and show up games. And what I wrote, and you can check out Bobby's preview, CLNS Media has predictions from all of us in there. What I wrote, which the only thing that'll concern me is the Celtics come out here and dog it once, twice, couple of times. You start doing that in round 1, I think it bodes really poorly for the rest of their playoff hopes.
Yeah.
So I think they need to, and I think they need to prove to themselves and to us they're serious. And if you're serious, you win this one in 4. If you're not serious, you play with your food, you mess around here, and we got this one in the bag. That's bad. That's bad. Because again, they going back to the first thing we said at the show, they never really know what to do with prosperity. They take their foot off the gas too often, and you can't do that in the playoffs because you gotta step on people's throats. You gotta keep them down, and you want to see killer instinct here. They start messing around. They let the Hawks win 1-2 games. I become a lot less bullish about their overall playoff chances because that means to me that they're still not a serious bunch. So it's important that they drop the hammer against the Hawks here.
Right.
So I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt in round 1 and say 4.
Yeah, same. I'm giving the benefit of the doubt because of that. I think they're ready. They're the mental toughness. I think that's what's key here. I mean, if you give the Hawks a game or two, it's just for this team, it just says that they're going to be in and out of that zone that we've seen them in, and you can say that's where they were to end the season. I mean, maybe it's not ideal where Rob is in his role, but there's a role there. Guys know where they're supposed to be at. Whether it's Malcolm Brogdon, Derek White. I mean, everyone. They're showing the signs of a championship team, but that's one of those signs that I feel like with this team, maybe other teams in the past, that's not the case, but with this team in particular, that if they show signs, if they start struggling in the first round, you're wondering which hurdles are going to pop up again later.
It's a great point.
That's going to really affect this team and get them into a situation where they're up against it, facing elimination.
Exactly, just like you're supposed to be
after reaching the finals last year, having it right there, having a lead in game 4 with a chance to go up 3-1, that should haunt your dreams. Being back in the playoffs, you shouldn't take 1 second off. Like that, you got to be focused. Anything short of that is going to be massively disappointing. But
do you think that could happen, John?
I do. That's the thing. But like I said, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt until they show us otherwise. But they start to mess around in this series, and
this is
lazy.
a team that can hurt you if you mess
have
around.
talent. Yeah. It's a talented team.
If they go up 3-0, going into game 4, like one of those situations, and you just you miss 2 opportunities to close it out, like that's when you're like, oh, here we go.
Why should you win this series easily? Because your defense should make Atlanta has a pretty good offense, but your defense should be able to fluster them enough.
That's another great litmus test.
But if you don't start playing defense, they're going to score points on you, and that's going to get bad. And then offensively, they can't score at all, but you get lazy. You don't attack. You don't keep the pressure on. You just try to turn it into like, oh, let's make a bunch of threes sort of game, and they're not falling. You're going to fall into those traps. So
Hawks are number 4 in offense under Snyder.
Yeah, they're a good offensive team. So you have to go out and be serious and play real defense against them. So
something just about everyone in the world saying sweep. That worries me a little bit. I know I'm always worried, but something about
like
that
this worries me. I said it earlier, like the Tatum 7 for 25 and then like looking for calls and not getting back on D. You start to see that. I'm going to get really worried about the rest of their
right. They might get past the Hawks, but it's just the rest of if that's a habit, they get in early on.
Exactly. That's my fear. So.
And they have really good play. Capella, Collins is good. Okongwu, I love. Jalen Johnson's hitting his stride. They got wings. They got guards. They have talent. This isn't, I don't know, the Pacers or the Magic or a team like that. This is a real team. Now, again, if the Celtics play their game, they're so much better that they'll blow by them. But they do have to show up here.
So anyway, that's where we're at. We got it Saturday, 3:30. The gang will be here. A bunch of those guys down at the Garden. So we'll have.
I love the early start.
The city is ready.
Let's ready. Go. Jimmy Toscano's just going to be walking around with a red.
They're closing Canal Street or whatever, right?
Toscano's walking around the city for 2 straight days with a red keg cup.
I'm going to have my hard hat on starting Saturday morning, all day walking around the city.
You off on Monday, Jimmy?
Just going to get coffee, nothing crazy, just walking around. Oh, this thing? Oh, yeah, this is my hard hat. I'm coming to work today.
Everyone's off on Monday.
Like
this is great.
Yeah, I'm off on Monday, Bobby. Not only am I off on Monday, I'll be at Marathon Monday, and there's a rumor that Bruins game 1 is Monday night. I will hopefully be at that game.
I will be there too, Jimmy.
Really?
Yeah, I'll be at the game.
Oh wow, a little garden report from little Bruins garden report.
Why not? And I'll be watching the marathon. I live basically on mile 16, so it's right down the street. Yeah.
Jeez. I'm going down to near the finish line.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway.
Shout out to Steve Hewitt of the Boston Herald who's running it this year. Good luck to him.
And to anyone who's good luck to all of you guys running. Bobby, you ran, right?
Yeah, 2018. The thought's been creeping around the back of my head. Maybe next year.
Trust me,
I'm kind of getting the itch again, but we'll see.
Wow.
It gets harder.
I don't think I have
get them in now.
I don't really have any urge to run it.
Yeah.
I'm getting the itch again, which I didn't think I would, but
I have it. I'm just never going to do it again.
They have lotion for that, Bobby. Get some. That itch.
I can't believe how far removed I am from it because it doesn't feel that long. But
what year did you run?
08, 09.
1920.
19.
There were only 17 runners.
What year did Johnny Kelly last win?
Yeah, if you didn't finish the race, you just died on the race. They didn't have they didn't have anything like that.
Oh, by the way, tomorrow morning, I think 9:30, we're going early, but you can always watch the replay later in the day. We're having Lauren Williams on, who was also on A-List podcast with Sherrod, I saw. Previewing Celtics and Hawks here on our daily Garden reports that we're doing now.
Go get some. We'll have more of that. Thank you guys for supporting us. Thank you for taking it easy on us. With some of our takes. And let's get serious. Playoff time. We'll see you guys Saturday.
Living squares. Living squares.
I'll be here. I might have a couple beers in me.
Sure. Oh boy.
Playoff beers.
Oh, John. He's gonna be trying to. What was he trying to do? High five you after Game 7 or something?
Cheers.
Cheers you.
We're
Yeah.
trying to toast.
Oh,
right?
if it's a blowout win too, Jimmy's gonna be back in rare form.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah,
No,
that was
it should be
great.
fun.
Thanks all.